It's another film session Thursday here on Football with Faria. Today we're dissecting week 2 of the NFL season between the New York Jets and the Dallas Cowboys. We have a lot to get to today. We're only be looking at the first half. Before we do, let's get it rolling with a great intro.
It's time for Football with Faria.
You got to get the offense right, and you got to be able to be aggressive. They put up 14 against the secondary. That is driving me up a freaking wall right now.
Now here's your host, Nick Faria.
All right, so let's get this started. Appreciate all of you, those coming on here today to join me. If you guys have any questions, we're going to be covering the first half of the week 2 game between the Jets and Cowboys today. So we'll spend some time at the end of the program here to go over some questions. We're not going to address the rumors from yesterday surrounding Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas. We kind of already did that yesterday, hoping to do a little bit more of that on Friday. So today is solely based on the film session that we have here today, and then we'll answer some questions afterward. So let's get it rolling. Let's get it started. And essentially, you always want to have the background to it, right? So with the Jets game going into week 2 against this Cowboys team, the Cowboys were 1-0, the Jets were 1-0. This was the first game the Jets were playing without Aaron Rodgers. And obviously the craziness and the sadness of that, but they truly believe that they could compete without Aaron Rodgers. Whether we disagree or not, based on the Athletics report, they believe that they could win games with Zach Wilson, with the team as healthy as they were going into this week 2 contest. That kind of changed almost immediately, and it changed on essentially the first drive of the game, right? Dallas went down the field pretty methodically, went down and scored an opening drive touchdown. What was it? I'm looking at the play sheet here. It was 12 plays, 75 yards. It was a methodical game. Dallas ended up winning 30-10. So this is not going to be a pretty film session. Most aren't when you're talking about a team that finished 7-10. But ultimately, there are some key takeaways here that we can look at and see exactly where the team goes for 2024, but also some of the things that the team did not learn from throughout the season. You're going to see a lot of that, particularly on the offensive line. So let's get it rolling here. Opening kickoff, same as always. They start at the 25. And with the Cowboys, they're coming off a 30-0 blowout win over the Giants. So they are humming right now. And this is a team that for a pretty good portion of the season felt that they were Super Bowl contenders. That laughably blew up in their face. But there's some context here to see why Dallas was so confident going into this game. And you see it right away. This is an opening 4-yard run by Tony Pollard. But you kind of see an early problem here. And we'll show you again. And again, I don't want to highlight C.J. Mosley always because I think he did have a good year. But there were times where he was out of position, was too slow on the uptake. And this is a particular play here. It's essentially, this is blocked well, but this is a play that he should be able to get. He's waiting out here. I think he's dissecting to see if it goes into play action. But once he clearly knows it's not, Zach Martin does a good job here on the tackle. Mosley should already be crashing down. This guy's got to get downfield. You have Quincy Williams here taken to his side, but this is essentially a zone blocking scheme. Mosley's got to get upfield here. He was waiting way too long to make a tackle, and it's actually Michael Carter that makes the play. You're the middle linebacker. That play's got to be made. And you see sort of this, the linebacking play was not always great in this game. Essentially, that's a good block. It's a good down block by the Cowboys. They pick up a first down. But when your first 2 plays are runs for first downs, that's when you know that your offensive line is kicking ass. Look what they do to Quinnen Williams here. Double team on Quinnen. Double team here on the other tackle. And it essentially, they move the ball. They just move these blockers down. This ball's at what? The 29. Look at where Quinnen Williams and Quentin Jefferson get blocked into. 29. Before he even gets his full cutback, he's at the 32. The 32. That's just terrific blocking by the Cowboys, and they end up getting 8 yards off it. But again, downfield. I want my linebackers playing downfield, an aggressive style of play. Not much to say here. Again, we see a lot in these zone coverages of the Jets play that quarterbacks, the good quarterbacks that succeed against them, they get the ball out very quickly. And Dak Prescott had a very good game simply because he just got rid of the ball quickly. He found the open guy on the first read and targeted him easily, efficiently, and effectively. 4 yards, that's perfectly fine. It sets up a manageable 2nd and 6, and they pick up another 4 right there. The offensive line for the Cowboys is just moving the Jets on this drive, and they moved them throughout the game. They put up 30 points. Again, it's another double team. It's essentially a reverse of the 8-yard run by Tony Pollard. That'll picks up, 4? But it's the 2 double teams up at the top, right here, the 2 double teams, and they just move people off the ball. And now it's 3rd and 2. This is a manageable play. And they end up getting a big play here to CeeDee Lamb. Again, lined up in the slot. And it's another first down. This is what they do. This is what the Cowboys do. They want to get you in 3rd and short, 3rd and manageable, and then they get the ball out to their playmakers. CeeDee Lamb had an incredible game, had an incredible year. But that's just getting him involved, getting him in motion. You don't see that a lot with the Jets and what they did with Garrett Wilson. If the Jets did to Garrett Wilson what the Cowboys were doing with CeeDee Lamb, I truly believe that Wilson could have set the record for targets this year. I really do, because this play right here, it's 3rd and 2. They could run the ball again. They could run it because, again, the offensive line is dominating, but they choose to get the ball in their best pass catcher's hand. And that's just getting him acclimated to the game early. Simple 6-yard completion picks up a first down, but it does even more on the very next play. We'll skip through that. This is the same play. So again, 1st and 10. They're just about in Jets territory. And this is just a pretty ball. Again, one-on-one coverage. Nothing you can really do there if you're the Jets. Nothing you can really do there if you're DJ Reed, because it's clearly an out and up. A slant and go. He gets inside, and there's a little bit of hand fighting. I don't really like the defensive holding call that was given to Reed there, because you can clearly see that CeeDee Lamb is pushing off as well. But this is a well-thrown ball. Nothing DJ Reed can do. The safety help was there. Listen, and this is kind of where I look at and say, with top defenses, you can only do so much in the modern NFL. Defenses are going to get beat. You look at the Cowboys, you look at the 49ers, and honestly, look at the Baltimore Ravens. These are all great defenses that have been shellacked at times throughout the year. The San Francisco 49ers defense has not looked good this postseason at times. They've been beaten to a pulp at times. But they've got elite defenses. It's because when you have a good game plan, when you have good quarterback play, it kind of neutralizes everything. The Jets didn't have that on the other side, which is why the defense was put in some very difficult situations. Very difficult situations. So again, 1st down and 10. They're now at the Jet 24. And let's see what happens. All right, I want to look at this block because I'm kind of confused at where Pollard's going. Because you kind of see the hole in the middle. The clear trap. What is Pollard doing? There's the hole. He picks up 2 yards here. That could have been a bigger gain. Mosley does a good job of ripping through this block, but that could have easily been 4 or 5 yards. Pollard only picks up 2 because it's a good job here by the defensive tackle. I think that's Solomon Thomas. That's a good job. And Solly had a good game against the Cowboys. I thought he had a good game as well. All right, 2nd and 8, nowhere to go. He does a good job. The defense does a great job here. They do an absolute great job. Make sure you give Dak Prescott no window to make a throw. He could target CeeDee Lamb here, but the Jets are doing a good job in this zone. Everyone is essentially covered. Everyone's essentially covered. Safety's here to pick off this pass from Gallup. He has no choice but to dump it off to Pollard for 2 yards. So 3rd and 6. This is a play that the Jets should be able to have. Should be able to have. We're looking at the end zone view of the completion of Pollard. Again, he's trying to get rid of the ball. Pressure not really there, but essentially a good job by the secondary. So they set up 3rd and 6. You got to get off the field here on 3rd and 6. This is such a monumental play early in the game because when you have a backup quarterback, you need all the momentum you can get. And this is where I say the offense was the clear reason why the Jets failed this season. But the Jets defense at times didn't really help themselves in these situations because you're on the road against a juggernaut of a team who's made the playoffs back-to-back years. And all you got to do is get off the field on 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6 is not 3rd and 2. This is a manageable down because you can't really run the ball. And they lose contain on a quarterback that I think they just simply forget can run the ball. Prescott runs. It's a 0 blitz. 1st down and goal. And we'll look at the end zone view here because I do want to point out a lot of people don't like the fact that Ulbrich and Saleh, they're not really blitzing guys, blitzing coordinators. This is kind of why, because this is 0 coverage, and Dak does exactly what he's supposed to do here. He's got to find a crease, and it's a great job on a pickup. I'm not sure why Quincy Williams, we'll look at the end zone view again. All right, Quincy Williams is here. He's coming on a blitz. C.J. Mosley's coming on a blitz. Look at where Quincy comes from, and he just gets washed away by the guard and tackle. He's nowhere in the play now. And now Dak, it's a clear lane. If Quincy attacks, and I'll show you again, if Quincy attacks between the tackle and the guard here, between the two Smiths, I think he has a chance to get Prescott down. But he comes in the center, and it might have been a miscommunication here because JFM crashes down. But by him crashing down, he runs Quincy out of the play, and there is nowhere to go. Dak is able to easily scamper for, 15? Can't really blame, the Jets want to call it 0 coverage blitz. That's fine. I'm not really a big fan of 0 blitzes in the red zone because quarterbacks can run now. We saw that with Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game this week. So I'm not always a big fan of 0 blitzes in the red zone. I have no problem with it called dutifully and not over the top. But this was a clear miss by the defense because it essentially gives Dallas new life, and they end up getting a touchdown out of this drive. Pollard, 2 yards. And the thing that I'll look at, and we're going to speed this through because you look at the linebacker play. Look at Mosley crashing down. Quincy reading, then crashes. Jamian Sherwood has this edge. The Jets linebackers are going to be solid no matter what because I do like Jamian Sherwood as a player. But when there's such a different defense when they're attacking downfield. And Quinton Williams on that play is tired of getting double teamed, so he just sheds off his blocker. Look at this play. Look at this play. Tyron Smith is a Hall of Fame left tackle. He is going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, considered one of the best modern tackles in NFL history. And he gets thrown aside. Ooh. Heck of a job. Again, 3rd and goal now. 3rd and 4 from the 8. They spread the Jets out. This is a prime opportunity for the Jets defense to get off the field. And they can't do it. And essentially, again, this is what I said earlier on this drive. You are setting yourself up for failure if your defense is not getting stops when they need to get off the field. Simply put. Simply put. Look at the play here. It's an out route. Jets look to be in zone coverage. Gardner looks like he's trying to back off to see if they're going to toss it to Cooks. But by him backing up, It gives him just a split second, and Ferguson only has to do is shuffle his feet, get into the end zone. Not exactly the greatest start, if you will. And again, it's all about momentum. These games, when you're an underdog, it's all about momentum. You go and give up a 75-yard drive on the opening series of the game. What are you expecting your backup quarterback to do in that instance? You're on the road. Get off the field. That's not something I blame. This game particularly, I think, I'm proud of Jet fans because I do think they all agree. This game, this loss to the Cowboys was not on Zach Wilson. What is he supposed to do? Look, let's be realistic here. A backup quarterback being judged by a backup quarterback standard. Down 7-0 in Dallas. They haven't lost there in 2 years. This is nothing. And it pretty much goes to shit right away. Right away. This is not something that gets magically solved. And this little burst here and there, and everything's good. The offense goes on the field and loses 2 yards on this drive. It's a net drive of negative 2 yards. It is just atrocious. And it starts on the first play, man. I mean, good God. First off, we'll get the end zone view here because this is not going to be doing its due diligence. All right. You got 3 tight ends on this set. 2 tight end set. The 2 tight end set, Uzama, and it looks like Rucker. Someone tell me, in their infinite wisdom, who in God's green earth has this idea that tight ends can block pass rushing defensive ends? DeMarcus Lawrence is not the same player he was in his prime. He's still a damn good defender. He's still a damn good player. And look who's guarding him. They go in essentially kind of this wide 9 stance and this wide 9 set here on the right side from the end zone. And it's essentially putting Lawrence on the 2 tight ends. And he just beats him like a rag doll. I mean, what is the makeup of this play? You have the offensive line. They're all blocking down. And quite frankly, they're doing a good job. AVT, McGovern, Lakin, they're all downhill. They're all getting a push. If Hull can get downfield here, maybe there's a chance for a positive gain. Maybe. But the other thing to this is there were 2 massive whiffs on the play. Uzama, we've already highlighted. And Becton can't get down fast enough. This play was doomed from the beginning. And part of the report from The Athletic said that it seemed like Nathaniel Hackett sort of not gave up, but just wasn't into it. His heart wasn't into it this year as a play caller. It's hard to argue against that when you look and you see this kind of design where DeMarcus Lawrence is on a tight end in single blocking scheme. There's no help. This is just atrocious. And it gets worse, guys. I've watched this a little bit, and it gets so much worse. And Wilson does a good job, steps up in the pocket, makes that completion. That's a good job by Zach. Look at the pocket. First off, remember him, Micah Parsons, Dwayne Brown. You've got both running backs in the backfield. I like this setup. I like the way they are setting this offensive play up. Single coverage here on Parsons, single coverage here on Lawrence. Wilson steps up, delivers a good ball. It's a 9-yard completion. And, after a negative 4-yard gain to start, it's 3rd and 5. You can convert 3rd and 5. Cowboys converted 3rd and 6 on the last drive. You can convert this. But look at the lack of respect they have for the Jets play calling on this 3rd and 5. because this is just atrocious. 3rd and 5. This is a winnable down. What's the quarterback supposed to do there? What's the quarterback supposed to do there? Twists and stunts are not new in the National Football League. They're not new. Teams practice it. The Jets practice it all training camp. And they look completely perplexed. The Cowboys are showing blitz, and they back off. And you have AVT here seeing them back off. He should be getting depth here in case of a twist or a stunt. McGovern looks like he's getting beat. You have Brown on Parsons. Where is AVT going? It's just, this play has no chance. It's got no chance because when you're a quarterback, you have specific reads. You have specific reads. The read here is not Michael Carter. You see that. Zach is using his eyes. 1, 2, and he can't go anywhere. This is half a second. I mean, it's just atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious football. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Because if there's one thing, and it was brought up in the athletic report as well, this game in particular, the lack of adjustments they had for Micah Parsons. And I think everyone and their mother was basically screaming, begging the Jets to have some plan to guard Micah Parsons. And they just didn't do it. They just didn't do it. So the Jets go 3 and out very quickly. And the defense, after being on the field for over 5 minutes to start the game, has to go right back on the field. They give up a 5-yard completion there to Lamb. And this is a good job by the defensive line. And who else but Quinnen Williams? Quinnen, I don't think he had the dominant day that he may have wanted, but he was still pretty dominant. I mean, that's just a great job. It's how you're being taught. This is how defensive linemen are taught nowadays. Look at the initial stance against Tyler Smith or Adoga. I can't tell who that is off the top of my head. But he's looking to see where Dowd's going, where Vaughn is going. He's looking, pow, no gain. And it sets up a 3rd and 5. Again, a manageable down, but the defense can get off the field here. And they do a good job. Vaughn bobbles the ball, which causes some problems. But the Jets get off the field. They're down 7-0. All momentum's on the side of the Cowboys. And they get off the field. But also notice this. So teams kind of tell you what they think of their opposition with how they handle some of their decision-making. And the decision-making of the Cowboys was very telling this game because it's 4th and 1 at their 40. You can run a quarterback sneak and pick up the first down. But they essentially said, we want to pin the offense back because we know they can't do anything against our defense. They can't block us. Imagine having that told to you in week 2. It's just not pretty. It's just, there were no adjustments going into this game. There were clearly no adjustments during the game. And I think that's a big problem. Dalvin Cook gets 3 yards here. There's nowhere to go. Maybe he bounces it out, picks up a couple extra, but 3 yards is fine, particularly with the way it looks here. They're just matching everyone up at the line of scrimmage. They try to cut down here, run a double team on this defensive tackle. They do a solid job. Ruckert does a good job wiping out Wilson on the play. They pick up 3. This was Dalvin Cook's drive, it seems. This is a good, well-blocked play, 6 yards. We'll look at the end zone view. All right, so it's a push down on McGovern. AVT, oh, that's a hands to the face or a face mask call right there. What the heck? Another missed call there for the Jets. AVT does a good job. Connor McGovern does a good job. The hole's there. Cook's picking up 6. This is well done. This is well done. And people are going to look at it and say, well, this has got to be a lot more. 6 yards is exactly what you should be getting if you're a running back like Dalvin Cook. This is not, you're not trying to be world beaters here. It's third and manageable. Third and manageable. And the Jets have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 offensive linemen counting tight ends. Let's look at how many the Cowboys have in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll count this guy here as 6. This should be a first down. You should be able to trust your offensive line to block down and get a single yard. And watch what happens. Nope. And this is with a relatively healthy offensive line. This is with these are your starting 5. These are your starting 5 from training camp. And they still can't get the first down. First off, again, Micah Parsons is here. Why is CJ Uzomah guarding Micah Parsons? And they try to get a double team on this tackle. Looks like it's Armstrong. I can't exactly tell. And Armstrong does a great job of just sealing, just creating space so that he can't get doubled and allows Leighton Vander Esch to kind of just force some problems here. I mean, this is just poorly done. When you have tackles and guards that need to double team a defender, you need to wipe him off the face of the planet. And they just don't do it. Brown and Tomlinson don't do it. The play gets blown up. It's 4th and 1, and you have to resort to a trick play just to stay alive in this game. It's just atrocious. But you'll give credit, obviously. Robert Saleh comes out, says, hey, let's run a trick play. You pick up the first down. There's actual momentum for the offense. And the one thing we saw in the Bills game, one thing we're going to see throughout the year is whenever the Jets get momentum, unfortunately, for some reason, they're unable to do anything with it. They just can't. Starts out well, 9-yard run, Breece Hall. This is good. This is a solid start. It's a good start. It's 2nd and 1 now because Hall bounces to the outside. He reads it well, picks up 9. It's 2nd and 1. 2nd and 1. They don't pick up the first down in this series of plays. Let's see why. They run a fake, a bootleg, nobody's open. And Wilson comes back. It's clearly a bad throw by Zach. Let's take a look from here again. Wilson does a good job. I love what the receiver does here. Garrett does a great job of understanding who he's playing and how to use that to advantage. Trayvon Diggs is a guy that wants to jump passes and run for pick sixes. He will get beat. So what Wilson does is instead of continuing the route to the sideline, he cuts in. It's not always something that people ask for because the damage of throwing across your body could lead to interceptions, but he does a great job here because he finds the open space. And if Wilson delivers a better ball, this is a first down. And again, we in defensive Zach, we'll take a look at the end zone view. In defensive Zach, he's getting pressured. Lawrence does a good job pressuring him. He can't really, he's got to get rid of the ball quickly, so I understand it from that perspective. However, you still got to make the throw. So now 2nd and 1 turns to 3rd and 1. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 offensive linemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive linemen. 8 against 5, and they still can't pick up a yard. Still can't pick up a yard. It's a quarterback sneak. This is a pitiful, pitiful excuse of a quarterback sneak. Look at this. First off, do you know why the Eagles are so good at the tush push? It's because the center gets lower than the opposition. What exactly is Connor McGovern doing here? He doesn't get low enough. They're not in sync. This entire blocking scheme is not in sync. Becton isn't low enough. McGovern isn't low enough. You have got to create a seal in front. I mean, it's just a pitiful excuse of a quarterback sneak. That tells me they haven't worked on it. When you have this kind of issue where one guy's blocking down and one guy's trying to get low and the other guy's up high and this guy's up high, this is not a quarterback sneak. This is a mesh of people just trying to get a push. You want to know why the Eagles are so good at it? Because they practice it. Because it's a complete unison approach. They don't do that here. It's a terrible excuse of a quarterback sneak. Because Wilson's got nowhere to go. There's just nowhere to go on that sneak. It really is. It's pitiful. It's a pitiful excuse. So now, again, they had the ball. It was 2nd and 1. And they run a rollout play with a bad throw. And they run a quarterback sneak that goes nowhere. It goes absolutely nowhere. You have a false start here by CeeDee Lamb. Of course, it doesn't matter because on the very next play, they convert for 31. And again, the offense is clearly the bigger problem here. No one is saying otherwise. But the defense doesn't help themselves here. They don't. They just don't. First off, we want to argue DJ Reed's a good corner. Is DJ Reed a good matchup against CeeDee Lamb? No, he's just not, guys. I would rather have Sauce Gardner on a player like Lamb. They've got to learn from this. They've got to learn from this season because if you're going to have an all-pro corner like Sauce Gardner, you need to treat him like an all-pro and guard the best receivers. And they go zone here, which I don't like zone when you pin a team back. You should be pressing. Everyone should be up at the line of scrimmage. Because Lamb, I mean, it's just a simple pitch and catch. He gets 31. And Sauce, to his credit, does a good job of forcing the fumble. Well, let's look from the end zone view. Look how many Jets players are running downfield. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Biotis is coming there, trying to sprint upfield. Where's the defensive line? Where's the defensive line? The ball's out. And now these guys come in. You've got to be sprinting. It's got to be fast. It's got to be a sprint. And, in their defense, maybe they're tired because the offense is not staying on the field. But week 2, you got to make the play. It's a 2-yard gain here for Pollard. Quarter ends. Dallas up 7-0. And they've just completely dominated this game. They, of course, do the rest of the way. But this is just ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly all the way throughout. It's a good play by Jamie Sherwood. Again, another player that I'd say I really like. I've interviewed him plenty of times this year. I think he's a great player. I think he's the heir apparent. And he's going to be the heir apparent to C.J. Mosley. He's a great player. All right. 2nd and 8. Dak's rolling out. If he wants, he could probably get Lamb here, but he decides to go to Tolbert. I mean, Lamb's there open. Cowboys are just messing with the Jets all game. All game. Clemens has got to do a better job as well. I think it's Clemens on Ferguson. So listen, Ferguson's a good tight end. He's a good blocker. If you're Michael Clemens, you need to eat this play up. You need to throw him. Dak's just not an issue. Everything's fine. Got to be better. All right, 3rd and 2. Again, another 3rd down situation. And they get Lamb in the slot. This is a good play call by the Cowboys. It's not good communication by the Jets at all. It's sending Carter on a corner blitz. Tony Adams gets caught. I'm not sure where. He's too far off. Listen, it's 3rd and 2. I don't like the play call because it's 3rd and 2, and you're essentially giving Lamb some free releases. Like, the play is snapped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8 yards off the receiver. He's got no chance to make this play. But essentially, Tolbert kind of running a quasi. He's not even running a quasi pick play. He just gets in the way. It's not a well-designed play for 3rd and 2. You need to make sure that you are up at the line of scrimmage. You can get off the field. The Cowboys call a great play. They call a play against the blitz, but it's also helped because you've got a guy that's covering their best receiver 8 yards off the ball. It's not pretty. Pollard gains 4. Let's see from the end zone view. Again, Jefferson and Quinnen are guys that have been on the field a lot in this first half. And I'm interested to see on this particular play if Jefferson is being taught to try and squeeze in here. Because by him squeezing in, it essentially gives them the 4 yards. We're coming on up on a play, and I want you guys to see, for those of you still watching, again, Football with Faria, it is Jets Film Thursday. This is a play that Sauce Gardner has to make. He's got to make this play. You are an all-pro corner, man. Get him on him and make the tackle. If he catches this pass and Gardner makes the tackle, it's 3rd and 4 and not 3rd and 1. But he misses, and it's 3rd and 1. And the Cowboys essentially run a quarterback sneak, and that's it. He's got to make the tackle. And this is where I say we can blame certain people for how the Jets season went, but there are small plays throughout the year that show that everyone has a part in why the team wasn't as good as they should have been. And Sauce Gardner was phenomenal this year. He was phenomenal. In terms of blame, he's probably one of the last on the list. But he's got to make that tackle because it's 3rd and 4. The Cowboys get a field goal out of this drive. Maybe they can still kick it and go up 10-0, but it's a far more difficult kick to attempt for a rookie quarterback, for a rookie kicker. All right, notice the difference here. Cowboys run quarterback sneak. We've already dissected how poorly the Jets ran their quarterback sneak before. Watch what happens from the end zone view. Look how low the Cowboys get. Look how low these guys get. Biotis, Martin, Edoga. Look how low. Martin, low. Him, low. The only one that's up right now is Edoga, but because Martin went so low, Dak just shuffles his feet. Look again. Look again. And notice the difference. Notice the difference. When you see a play like this and you see this, this is when you know you're getting a first down on a sneak because you have pushed the defense back a yard just in your alignment, just in the way that you've gotten off the ball. And contrasting it to the Jets offense, it is night and day. And again, the Cowboys made the playoffs this year. Yes, they were a different team. They have their starting quarterback, but they don't have their entire offensive line here. Another missed tackle. They end up gaining, 2? But it could have been a loss. Could have been, no gain. Instead, it's 2nd and 8 instead of 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12. There's just so much to not like about this film in this game. Oy vey. Missed tackles, zone coverage when it should be man, 0 blitzes when it should be zone. Adios mio. Pollard gains a yard here. Let's take a look. Let's look for some positive stuff here, guys. Let's look for some positive stuff. Amos does a good job crashing. Good job by Carl Lawson getting off the block. Quincy Williams there as well. Let's look at Carl Lawson. Didn't really play a lot this year. Goes up against a tight end. Notice the difference between the tight end that Dexter Lawrence went against, where he threw like a rag doll, and the one that Carl Lawson went up against, where it's just a 1-yard gain. Small plays, but bigger differences in this ball game. All right, Prescott in the pocket. The Jets are sending blitz again. When you're sending a blitz, and this is for all defensive coordinators, I absolutely hate it. I can't stand when defensive coordinators are sending a blitz and the corners and cover guys are off the ball. On the ball, on the ball, on the ball. Oh, look at that. Tolbert's off. He's going to get the ball then. Look at this. He's 6-7 yards off the ball. Tony Adams is 7 yards off the ball here. The Jets send the blitz. They don't get in time. So it gives Dak Prescott a chance to just relax, take a sip of a beverage, and deliver the pass. Get up on him. That is more coaching to me. And Ulbrich had a very good year. But this is coaching. If you're sending a blitz, then you need to make sure everyone is on the ball, because you're giving up free yards. I can't stand it. I can't stand it when teams do this. Another good play by Solomon Thomas here. We'll look at it from this view. He gets doubled, washed out, but it wasn't Solomon Thomas. Excuse me. He gets his butt whooped on the double team. Let's take a look. A crash by Quincy Williams. There it is. Okay. So it's Quincy Williams. Apologies, guys. Quincy Williams does a good job attacking downhill. They make the tackle. It's a 3-yard gain. It's a good job. It's a real good job. All right. This is a failed screen that's just dumped off. Let's see who blocked it up. Again, 2nd and long here. Blocked up, blocked up, blocked up. Oh, look at that. It's Quincy Williams again. I mean, he had the missed tackle here on this drive, but he's such a good player. He really is. He really is. And notice the difference here. The Cowboys didn't really attack Sauce Gardner today in this game. They really tried to go after DJ Reed, and they try to go here with Gallup, who's a more physical player than Reed, but Reed does a good job here of standing his ground. I mean, this play's over. He does a good job setting his feet, getting the punch where he needs, and just making things a little bit more uncomfortable for Gallup to force the field goal. That's a good job. That's a good job. But notice here, okay? So notice. They send another blitz. And notice the difference in the snap. It's not a zero blitz, but he's 4 yards off on. That is a fundamental difference. 4 is a lot different than 7. And I know it's a zone anyway, but still, it's like this is a good defensive set, which just drives me crazy when teams run blitzes 7 yards and their corners are 7 yards off the ball. I will never understand it for the life of me. But it's 10-0 Cowboys now. And let's take a look at what the Jets do on this drive, guys. Again, football with Faria here. Taking a little pause as they go through the field goal and kickoff. J-Dubs with a question here. Are these issues technique or coaching? Great question, J-Dubs. I think it's a little bit of both, particularly on the quarterback sneak. I think that's more coaching because of the technique. They're not coaching the proper technique on how to fully establish a quarterback sneak and gain a yard, which is just embarrassing to say the least. Like, you need a yard. Vince Lombardi said, if you can't gain a yard, you don't deserve to be champions. Well, if you can't gain a yard in the National Football League today, what does that say about you and how pathetic the group is? All right. Running back screen goes nowhere. Looks like it just went off Breece Hall's hands. Yep. Everyone had a hand in this game, guys. Every single one. Wasn't just Wilson. Wasn't just the offensive line. Everyone played poorly. No hiding it. He's got to make the catch. Maybe he gets a yard or two. Like, the play design is just terrible. So it's 2nd and 10. Why are you blocking defensive ends with tight ends? Again, the Cowboys are in wide 9. They're in wide 9. And if you're in a wide 9, you need to make sure that your tackles can get out on the edge. And Lawrence crashes. And Hall does a good job here of just making a miss. But Mekhi Becton touches nobody on this play. Like, block the linebacker. They have this push where he's trying to help on the double team here at the tackle. And if he gets Van Der Esch, he helps with the pancake. Great. Go after the linebacker now and seal it off. It's a 6-yard gain that could be a first down. And he's just Van Der Esch runs away from him. 3rd and 4. Pressure. Wilson's got nowhere to go. And he throws a bad pass. Look, actually, I want to see this again. When you have an all-pro wide receiver like Garrett Wilson who toasts Stephon Diggs, get him the ball. Get him the ball, please. Jets have to punt. Anyone else tired of this yet? Good God. I want to do this every week, but I'm just losing brain cells watching some of this. I really am. All right. Jets force a 3 and out here. Let's see how they do it. And, oh, look at this. It's Quincy Williams again. This is how a linebacker should be playing. Look at him attack. Look at him attack that ball carrier. This is an all-pro linebacker, ladies and gentlemen. This is an all-pro linebacker. That's so well done. Get upfield. Make the play. Jets do a good job here. It's just a terrible throw by Dak. The other thing that you're noticing, I'm interested to see, that's really kind of the first pressure the Jets defensive line had. We're halfway through the second quarter. Defensive line didn't have a very good game in this one. Didn't really. They take a deep shot, nowhere to go. I do want to end this off. I am going to have to cut this program a little short. I was hoping to get through the entire first half. Unfortunately, we're not. Mostly because I have class in 9 minutes. I have to teach. So we're going to watch this final play. And everyone's going to feel good about themselves. Because it's really one of the few things that you had this year. And it's that Garrett Wilson's a really damn good player. And not targeting him enough is really on the coaching staff. They got to get him the ball more in 2024. And they will, because Aaron Rodgers knows to get his best players the football. So let's take a look. Again, jumbo set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offensive linemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive linemen. There's 8 in the box. And Wilson, play action pass. The offensive line picks it up. And goodbye, Garrett Wilson. Amazing what happens when an offensive line gives their quarterback protection and allows him to set his feet, and the first read is there. That guys that really struggle don't look like incompetent quarterbacks. I mean, this is well done. The Cowboys bite on the play action fake. He makes a great throw to Wilson, and he's off to the races. Get your best players the football. Get your best players the football. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science at all. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we're trying to do here this weekend. This entire series is see the plays that really affected this team. See the problems that the team had going forward. And there are times where the defense is at fault. The offense cuts the deficit to 10-7. It's a 3-point game. With what? I'm looking at the screen here. With 7 minutes to go, it's a 3-point game in the first half. They've been thoroughly outplayed. And the defense kind of wins some battles, winning other battles, but they give up a 75-yard drive on the next series. So as badly as I want to say the offense is terrible and this is all terrible, because it is. It hurts my eyes. It hurts talking about it. Defense didn't help themselves in this game, and they didn't help themselves in other times as well. Missed tackles, missed assignments. That being said, oh my God, this offense is atrocious. And it was throughout the entire season. And it gets worse. The offensive line in this game wasn't very good. But at the very least, through a quarter and a half, Micah Parsons has 1 sack. We didn't really talk about him that much overall. We're going to see it in the second half next week about how different it becomes. But these are just fundamental problems the Jets have, and it has a lot to do with coaching. It has a lot to do with coaching. It has a lot to do with scheme. And the best thing to come out of the Athletic article, the best thing to come out of all of it, is the fact that Saleh is looking for a guy to help Nathaniel Hackett with game planning to bring in fresh ideas. Because clearly, this entire film session, the one last week, the one before, it's all a mess. It's all a mess. There's no sense in hiding it. There's no sense in hiding it. It's a mess. So again, this film session here, thank you guys so much for joining. Hope you guys had a lot of fun with this, learned a lot. We'll see you guys next week on another film session. We will be on tomorrow, probably around 5 o'clock, to go over some of the breaking news in the NFL. We'll go over the Senior Bowl as well. Probably talk about some other Jet stuff. We'll see. They can't stay out of the news forever. So anyway, thank you guys so much again. I hope to see you all tomorrow, and have a great rest of your night.